What is joy? Welcome to Philosopher's Corner. I'm John. What is joy? Joy is the feeling of divinity manifested through you. Philosophically, joy is a feeling, some would say ineffable, but here we are trying to explain it, of a deep connection to an underlying current of reality, which is usually lengthy in the making and tied to trials and hardships and emotionally associated to the person as having endured through some of life's trials and hardships and obstacles to achieve, and is long-lasting and by all accounts provides a deeper connection and bond to life itself. It's a feeling of being in exceptionally deep alignment in a proper moral manner through a series of events that allows an energy to flow through the person, which are what emotions are, that validates life, it validates the events in the person's life, it strengthens and deepens the bond to the source energy of life, it gives meaning to life, it answers the questions as to what's the meaning of life for the person. It connects the events so that they don't seem random or meaningless. It provides emotional well-being, and it's an eternal wellspring of continued hope for joy in other areas of life. You know, joy may be the highest and most exalted of the emotional states in the human condition. Now, some people will obviously want to compare it to happiness, and happiness is more of a 5 sense satisfaction. Happiness is typically the satisfaction of temporary appetites. And happiness may not even help a person. In fact, a lot of times happiness hinders a person, because happiness can show up in junkies getting drug fixes and people satisfying immoral appetites, and you can still be happy and do that. And so it can be confusing. It can actually be in the long run detrimental to the person to be happy in the moment. Not all the time, but it differs from joy in that way, where joy is not a common sense, 5 senses emotion about satisfying an appetite. Joy is an emotion that takes a lengthy journey to achieve. It's never promised. One doesn't know where it's going to come from. The timing is independent of the man-made artificial world. You can't put joy on the calendar. I mean, the closest some people get to putting joy on the calendar is, oh, my baby's being born today, or something, something profound. And joy is a thing that continues to provide a source of good, life-affirming energy throughout a person's life. Joy doesn't expire. You're not always feeling it, but it doesn't expire. It's not like happiness, where you had a great meal 10 years ago, but you forget about it. If you're proud of your son or daughter that you had, the chances are you're not going to forget about feeling good about being proud of them. And that's how joy works. Joy is timeless. And It's because joy is the culmination of emotional journeys, infinite emotional journeys, to get to a point where there's such clarity, such emotional and perspective clarity, both forward and backward in time, especially backward in time, because joy is catalyzed by certain events lining up to lead to a portal and a dimension of personal fulfillment that is unrivaled in the human condition. And to stand and live in the dimension of joy is one of the great pleasures in life. And it's selfless. To achieve joy, one necessarily has to be engaged in selfless activities, helping others, be that human beings, animals, plants, whatever. Selfless endeavors are the road to joy. Whereas to contrast it with happiness, happiness is a self-centered pursuit. Satisfying the common senses and the ego. Joy is a transcendental endeavor. In fact, a lot of times the events and hardships and trials that people go through that eventually lead to joyous moments and joyous existence, because on the journey of joy we learn the principles, the universal principles that connect seemingly disparate situations, and we learn to navigate in that manner. We learn to set our compass to the source of life, to life itself. In fact, when we look back at many of those events that we were navigating through, the reason it is a trial, considered a trial or hardship, is because in those moments, to navigate through those scenes of life, happiness is not present. In fact, many times the happiness factor is extremely low. The senses are not being satisfied in those moments because the requirements for those moments are to be selfless. And in trials and hardships, in order to learn and discern the principles that are at play, the life principles that are at play in those moments, oftentimes the ego needs to be overcome with self-discipline, and that's usually unhappy. And many of the personal appetites need to be controlled or ignored because they're either not good in the long run or they're not appropriate in the moment. And so many of the factors can make it so that the person navigating those moments, which eventually lead to joy, which they don't necessarily know at that moment, they need to exhibit such self-discipline and such non-self-centeredness that those moments can be incredibly unhappy. Many of these moments can be filled with depression, anxiety, all sorts of things, all sorts of what we would call negative emotions, because the nature of a trial and a hardship, to go through a crucible, is to force us to get so in touch with ourselves and to know ourselves so completely that we have to feel every single what we would call negative emotion in our field and own them and bond with them and transmute them and alchemize them. And those are unhappy moments until we've gone through enough of them and discern the independent principles and learn to know ourselves so deeply and so well and learn to alchemize those feelings so much and so well that at some point a deep spiritual maturity occurs. And because we've done that and we've cleared out our system, then the deeper energies of life can flow through us and things can make sense and we know how to navigate, and that's what we term joy. And when joy begins to flow through us, whole new levels are unlocked, because the dimensions we exist in and the planes we live on are determined by the energy that flows through us. And getting to a dimension of joy, which is a long-lasting, deep and fulfilling, a meaningful, clear area, dimension, space, reality to live in, it requires self-sacrifice, and in that sense the self-sacrifice is truly sacrifice of self, which means to be non-egotistical. It means to know ourselves, resolve our issues, come to terms with who we are, and then begin the process of truly consciously bonding to life and understanding how life works. And at some moment when those things have an intersectionality, some people call it transcendence, some people call it ascension, enlightenment, whatever label you put on it. The important part is that the feeling of joy will descend upon us and flow through us, and that sense of joy is eternal. And in order to receive the joy, in order to build up enough trust with life, we have to realize that life is eternal, which we all intellectually understand. It's the emotional understanding of it that takes more time, typically. And until we have that emotional trust of eternity, which means our consciousness never ceases, the way we view death is incorrect, it's an illusion, like life is eternal for everything, everywhere, at all times, and that the process and the life and the experience of life and our point of identifying ourselves as a consciousness continues eternally. Until we do that, we can't have joy flow through us. But when we do, and when the joy begins to flow through us, then we can truly bond with life and the universe and all of its magnificent, eternal experiences that it has available for us. And joy is the way you find out. And when it comes to you, it's not that life will continue to happen in the sense of the trials and hardships or whatever, but having access to the joy energy makes them all manageable. And the feeling of joy is a permanent reminder to us that we know how to navigate life and we understand what's going on with it, and we're bonded to it. And then we have a deep love for life, and life obviously has a deep love for us, because life gave birth to us. Life created each and every single one of us. It gave us our existence, whatever you think of the existence. Life itself, we are a byproduct of life, and we are not separate of it. We are a part of the system of life. And it's a sacred honor to come into consciousness about the nature of ourselves being a part of the system of life, because it didn't have to create us, but it did, each and every one of us. So in that sense of a deep reverence and humility and respect for life having given me the opportunity to exist, and you the opportunity to exist, the fuller energies of life respond to this and really open up our lives and our vistas, and has done so in a manner that's ensured that we can navigate the deeper, richer energies of life as it opens up to us. Really no different than leveling up in a video game. And in this video game that we call life, the emotional emanations that come out of us, our emotional vibration level, are the keys to access the realities that we hold in our heart. The hearts and the heartfelt wishes and desires that we have are unlocked when the energy of joy flows through us. So it is a deep and fulfilling energy that begets more life, that begets more true connections and relationships. It allows us to be consciously a part of the system of life, and in many ways it really completes us and gives us security in the face of eternity, which is a daunting premise. And joy allows us to feel really good about it. Well, thanks for spending some time here at Philosopher's Corner. I hope you found it helpful, and as always, have fun.